The Pearly Damsel is one of, if not, my most utilized damsel nymph pattern. Tied completely out of a single marabou plume, the Pearly Damsel has proven itself on lakes all over western North America. If damsel nymphs are on the menu, a Pearly Damsel is most likely tied on the end of my tippet. Here are the materials you will need to build your own set of Pearly Damsels. So let's tie arguably my favorite damsel nymph to fish, the Pearly Damsel. A simple fly that uses one marabou plume for the entire tail, body, dubbed head, and legs, and a few other bits. So let's start with our hook. I've got a Daiichi 1550 number 12. I tie these in number 10, just your standard wet fly nymph hook. Put some olive MFC 60 or 80 thread, whatever you'd like to use. Break off the excess. Cover that hook shank. And we're going to come up about 2 eye widths back from the hook eye, and that's where we're going to start tying in our tail material. And as I said, we're going to use a single plume, in this case the UV2 medium olive marabou. You could mix your colors if you want. You could tie them in tan is a good color as well. Browns, whatever colors match your local damselfly nymph population. This is great stuff. It's got those UV2 properties, and it's just excellent quality marabou. Everything I like in marabou. Nice fibers on the plume. So for this fly, we're going to use a single marabou plume. We're going to use some of it to form the tail, and others to twist up as a rope and form the body. Seldom use fine tips for legs, and take a little bit and dub it around some monofilament eyes to suggest the head. Dead simple little fly. So let's get started. So off the side of the feather, I'm going to strip this number 12, maybe 3/8 of an inch or so of plumes right off the side of the feather. If I can, I like to keep the tips intact as opposed to pinching them to length, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but I just think you get a little better motion. So I want a reasonably long tail on this, because it's not exactly imitating the 3 paddle-like tails of the nymph, but it's just adding a sculling swimming motion, because the nymph swims using its whole body, basically from behind its head and abdomen to swim. So the longer tailed versions swim and move better. So we've got that measured up so it'll stick out the back. A good half the shank length, even 3/4 of the shank length. We're just going to transfer that measurement, come in with our scissors, nip off the excess, tie that in place, and secure it back down the shank. Again, just like deer hair or any other material that can be challenging to manage, don't let go of it until it's secured and in place. We've got a nice little tail there. If there's a few errant strands on the end that aren't quite in line with the other ones, if you're so inclined, you can give it a little trim or preen if you want, and there's your tail in place. Now this has a copper rib on it. You could also tie a chartreuse or sort of a complementary color wire rib, but I like using the copper, so I'm going to tie in some of this ultra wire in small. So I'm just going to bring the tying thread back up, lay that ribbing material right along the side of the hook, and secure the ribbing. Twist it around a bit there. Secure the ribbing along this near side. I want to keep, damselfly nymphs are slender and skinny. So you want to keep your body nice and slender, no abnormal lumps or bumps. Because it's a pearly damsel, we've got to have some pearly aspect to it, and that we're going to take care of by using Mirage Opal Tinsel. Love this stuff in medium. I'm just going to secure that flat along the back, right at the base of the tail, and secure that forward. Get that out of the way. And then for the body, I'm going to go back to our marabou plume. We're going to take 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch or so of materials, not too much. Strip them right from the plume. Try to get as long of fibers as you can, because we're going to twist and wind these up. So I'm going to take them, I'm going to moisten my fingers, stroke them together. I'm going to take the very tips of the material, moisten them a little bit, trim them off, come right down to the base of our tail. Thread under control here, and just secure those in by the tips, right down to the base. Come back up about 2/3 of the way. Stroke them together and then just twist them. And this forms them into a little tight rope, makes the fibers stand right out. And you just, every couple of turns, close touching turns, I just give them a little bit more of a twist. Right the way up and form this nice little fuzzy body. And we're just going to come up, tie off the excess. And trim. Just sort of stroke all those fibers back. Clean up the tying area a bit. Don't want to crowd the head. You can see I got lots of space. I got to put a head and eyeballs in here. So we want to keep that open. And then I'm just going to take my fingers, and I've moistened my finger a little bit, and I'm just going to, if you will, part the hair on top, clear a path for our shellback material, in this case the Mirage Opal Mylar. I'm just going to hold that in place with my thumb, come around once, twice, make that sure that that's secured, and on top it is. I can pull on it a little bit to tighten it, and if you hold it and kind of wiggle it, it'll make sure it sort of self-centers on top. Fold that excess Mylar back to further lock it in place. Come in and trim away the excess. We're just going to take our copper wire and just sort of zigzag our way, work it through those marabou fibers, try not to trap too many down. Work them right up, tie off, fold back, tie off, pull and twist. Broken away. Now, the legs are going to come from the tip section of the feather. So what I'm going to do is I'll just sweep and isolate, sweep back the main fibers off the stem, and I've isolated the tip area. And then I'm going to go right up and isolate the very tip of the feather and actually pluck that out. And I'm just going to then trim this tip section right from the main feather. Let that fall out of the way. We'll save that for later. Now we just got this tip, and the stem is actually helping hold these fibers in place. And I'm going to start stripping down from the base a little bit, because damselflies only have 6 legs, so I don't need 1,600 legs. And I'm just going to evenly strip on both sides. Again, that stem is holding those fibers in place. And I'm just going to, seems a little backwards at first, but I'm just going to see the tips are nice and even. Just stroke, because the stem is holding them in place. Some of these errant fibers getting in the way here, but I'm just going to strip them, even up the ends. And I want to tie them in so they stick out right at the hook eye, about 1/2 to 3/4 of the shank. I'm just going to secure them in, trim off the waist, and I'm just going to divide these. I want to make sure they were kind of on top, so I'll just get them in line. I'm going to take some of those fibers and divide them in half roughly, fold them back from the hook eye, wind them back against the body. They stick out down the sides, bring my tying thread back up, and do the same for the near side set of legs. If I've done it right, I've got a nice divided pair set of legs. just like the natural nymphs hold them out to the sides when they swim. And now we're going to tie in some extra small pre-made mono eyes. Some argue you don't even really need eyes, and in a pinch and on the water, at the campsite or whatever, you might skip this step. But I want to make sure this is nice and smooth, so I'm actually going to take these extra small, these are olive mono, you could use black. So I've just got them lashed on, just get them on, a couple of wraps, and then I'm going to take them, be careful I don't screw up the legs here, I'm just going to rotate them 90 degrees and run the thread from the back of the eyes to the front to lock them in place. Still got our legs more or less there. And now to finish the fly, we're going to go back to what's left of our main stem. I'm going to take a couple of, just strip them right off these are right off the side of the feather. I'm going to come in and see the little nubs where they were attached. I'm just going to trim those off. And probably next to rabbit fur, marabou is about the easiest thing to dub. So I'm going to take these couple of strands, moisten my fingers a little bit, and just twist those right around. That's 2 strands of marabou. That's it. It makes a nice, neat little dubbing noodle. You can work that behind the head, and then divide and dub in and around the eyes to form that signature little head. And then all we need to do is get our tying thread back up to the hook eye here. I'm going to put a little bit of super glue right on that tying thread. Oops, keeps sliding off here. There we go. Better now. And then a 2 or 3 turn whip finish. Maybe 4. Get that tight in place. And trim. And there we go. The finished Pearly Damsel. Very, very simple fly. All tied out of the same materials. So you got no issues of different types of materials and matching. It's a very slender profile. It moves well, and you just tie it to match the damselfly nymphs in your area. It's a great little fly, and arguably my favorite damselfly nymph to fish with when the fish are on damsels. And many times they're on damsels and calabatus at the same time because those 2 hatches overlap. So this fly could be on the dropper or the point, and on the other fly position I would have a calabatus nymph. So a great pattern to fish with calabatus nymphs, the Pearly Damsel. For more information on fly fishing, and stillwater fly fishing in particular, please visit my website at flycraftangling.com. Here you will find fishing tips, fly patterns, articles, information regarding my seminars and schools, along with links to my blog and mine and Brian Chan's online stillwater fly fishing shop. You can also visit our store directly at stillwaterflyfishingstore.com. In addition, you can also follow me through my social media channels, including Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks for watching, and please take the time to watch my other tying videos as well.